You're listening to episode 41, Cat's Eye, directed by Lewis Teague. Is it a forgotten Stephen King film? Let's find out on this episode of Video Villa Podcast. So this one took a lot of thought, actually, on what film we wanted to do, at least for this episode.
Yes, there was a handful of movies that or a list of movies because more than one movie in a row is a list. As we can tell
More of anything in a row
for the last episode. But yeah, I basically gave Becca a couple of movies as a list, and this was the winner of the list.
Well, yeah. So we had a good one, but then now that 4th of July is over, our main focus is Halloween because I didn't even give a shit about 4th of July. But now whatever. But now that it's come and gone, one of the things on the list was a really good movie to introduce during our Halloween kickoff, our annual Halloween marathon. So that's why that one got the veto. It got a pin in it.
Yes. We will. It will show a resurgence later.
Yes. So, and who doesn't love a Stephen King movie or book? I mean, that's definitely a hit for everyone.
If you're followers of the channel, you know I am a big, huge Stephen King's fan, and
yes.
I don't love every movie that's been adapted. But I mean, I do like a lot of his books that have been turned into films.
Yeah.
As far as one that I don't think gets talked about enough is I think Cat's Eye, and that's why I kind of wanted to cover it because it is a very fun film. Once again, this is a newer film that Becca has not seen yet. So
no, I have seen it.
Well, you've seen it. I'm saying this is like I didn't ask if you liked it or not. So we're going to wait till the end of the episode to see if you liked it.
Oh, well, ask if I liked it or not and me seeing it are two different things.
I don't know what I was trying to say is we're going to go back to the tradition, if you know, of the show where we'll wait till the end to see what Becca thought. Because 9 times out of 10, right out the go, I love the movie.
Well, yeah. That's why you pick the movies. Yeah, and that's the thing. So usually a lot of the films we do, I either like haven't seen or have seen it like a bajillion times. And for some reason, when it comes to Cat's Eye, I like vaguely remember seeing it, bits and pieces, where I'm like, wait, did I see this? Did I not see this? I don't know if I saw this. I think I saw this.
I think I was watching it, and then I was telling you about it, and then you were like, well, why are you watching it without me? I'm like, I don't know. I watch a lot of movies without you, Becca. I don't know why I don't want to.
Well, maybe that was in the beginning because nowadays I don't care.
No, we lived in this house, so it wasn't the beginning.
No, I remember seeing it and not in this house. Like I said, I remember bits and pieces of it. So I don't know.
Well, maybe you saw it later.
Maybe it's a fever dream.
It could be a fever dream, yeah.
Because we all just have Stephen King fever dreams.
My goal was to actually have the cats on the table in harmony to have on the episode, but I don't think that would be a good idea.
Unless you want to see a cat fight.
I mean, maybe some people want to see a cat fight.
I mean, they were snuggling earlier in bed.
Yeah, one's below me right now, making me pet them so they won't stop meowing.
Yeah, but they were back to back. If they're front to front, then they fight.
Yeah, if it's butt to butt,
then they don't care.
There's a truce.
Yeah,
It's
they
like
just act like they don't know each other.
It's like two married couple fighting and going to bed angry.
Yeah, back to back. But yeah, I guess we'll kick off this like we do every other episode. Not every episode with, do you have any fun facts you want to share, or are you going to share them like as we go along?
No. So like I got a majority of like, there's certain things I wanted to cover like about the production of the film and stuff like that. And then this is a horror anthology. So when we get to individual stories, I think I'll go more in detail about some of those fun facts.
Yeah. So since this is an anthology, we decided to take a little bit of a different approach, kind of sort of different approach, because there's several different stories within the single film.
Yeah, and also
we'll follow the baseline.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to give a background of each film and stuff like that, and then talk about them. It's not going to be as detailed because there's not a need for as the detail.
Yeah, they're pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like most of them, well, I feel like two of the movies feel like a motion picture. Stories, yeah. Two of the stories feel like a motion picture. One of them I feel like could just been a made for TV story. I'll cover that one, which one that one is when we get to it. But I mean, the movie, two of the stories are actually come from the Night Shift book, which is a compilation of stories that Stephen King wrote in his early years and put them into one book. Some of the stories were like mentioned in Penthouse and stuff like that as short stories and so forth. So two of the stories from the book, which I have here, it was made and adapted to film for the film Cat's Eye. Those being The Ledge and Quitters Incorporated. They did want to get Sometimes They Come Back, which is also in the Knife Shift book. But the producer, Nilo De Laurentiis, thought that the story was enough meat that they could actually just make it their own film. Because basically the idea for this movie came during, literally it was due to Drew Barrymore explosion into Hollywood. Mm-hmm. After E.T., she was the it girl. She was the cutest thing you've ever seen. And people were trying to, hire her and get her to be in movies. Dino De Laurentiis produced a lot of Stephen King's film. He was a big fan of Stephen King. So, when there was properties going up for making into film, he produced most of them. He was working on this set, Firestarter, and Dino De Laurentiis asked Stephen King to come over, and he's like, see this little girl, I think she's going to be really special. And it was Drew Barrymore because she's in Firestarter. And he basically was like, I want you to make a story around her. Mm-hmm. Which is what basically Cat's Eye is. Stephen King took the stories and wrote screenplays for them, the two stories, and then generated a whole new story, mm-hmm. which was the general story. So basically, he altered them a slightly tad bit to have all the stories have some sort of connection with one each other, which is general, but we call him General because that's the one, his name in the final film that we watch. But obviously every rendition he has a different name.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically he rewrote some of the stories. Majority of the stories I read them before the review, and like 90% of it's the same. Literally, like it's a very good adaptation of those storylines. And General was like a whole new concept that was written for the movie that Stephen King wrote the screenplay for. When this was actually previewed, it was said that this was the first screenplay adaptation of Stephen King's in the trailer, but that technically wasn't true because the actual true screenplay written by Stephen King was in Creepshow. Mm. And this is a horror anthology, and I don't think it gets as much loved as a lot of other ones. Here's all my anthologies I have now, but I mean, you got Creepshow 1 and 2, Twilight Zone, and then Tales from the Dark Side. But Twilight Zone, Creepshow, and Tales from the Dark Side, I think, get the most love out of all of them. There also is Trilogy of Terror and so forth, and then that was 75 or something like that, I believe. And then you got Tales from the Crypt was 72. So it's not the fact that these are the oldest ones, because that's not true. It's just I think they were the most popular ones. And Cat's Eye it gets love in a way that they just talk about how it broke the world's Guinness Book of World Records for the largest bed ever built and largest pillows ever built for the general storyline, which was pretty cool. But I do feel like the stories itself aren't as harsh as like Creepshow and Tales from the Dark Side.
Yeah, because Cat's Eye is only a PG-14.
13. Yeah.
PG. It up a bit.
Well, this is 1985. This is the first time we got PG-13.
Yeah.
The year before this is when they had the whole they came up with PG-13 with Gremlins, Temple of Doom, and stuff like that. Like some of the violence in those films, they felt like, okay, well, a child shouldn't be watching this. That's when they came out with the new PG-13.
Yeah.
Everything else before then was basically rated R. So this is one, I will say, our son Grayson, I will say the general, I think he would really like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think is that the final story in the movie. I definitely think is a good introduction to horror for kids.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's very, very mild.
Yeah, it's very mild, but it's good. I mean, it's really like this movie is really good. It is like really good. I even though it's not like, blood and guts and stuff like that. Like when I was younger,
you get little troll guts. And
which is awesome.
Little troll hands.
Oh my God, it's so cool. I want to talk a lot about that when we get there.
I see that.
But I mean, like, okay, so like, if you're a fan of the show, like I didn't really watch a lot of horror growing up. I didn't start getting into horror until like I was like 13 or so forth. Cat's Eye was one of those films that I remember seeing on AMC's 100 Most Scariest Moments, and they brought, and one of the moments was the general moment, the storyline with the troll, and I remember watching it, and then I was like, I'm being a snotty nosed 13-year-old. This ain't scary. This is stupid. And I'm just being a little snub nose. And I guess what it was is I took so long to watch horror. I feel like I needed to get all the bad stuff, the horrible stuff first, and anything that wasn't like that, like, I didn't want it. Like I remember watching Carrie, and in our Carrie episode, I remember saying like, I didn't like it when I first saw it. I didn't think it was that good. And then rewatching it as I aged and matured, I'm like, it is one of my favorite. It's in my top 10 favorite films of all time.
Yeah.
I love that movie. And what's called, it's great Stephen King adaptation. And, and Cat's Eye's just right up there with it. It is fantastic. The funny thing is like the Night Shift book is actually really good. If you are collecting Stephen King's books, I will say definitely pick up the Night Shift. It's got a lot of great tales that have been turned into motion pictures. I mean, sometimes they come back that was made into a movie. You've got we got the Ledge is on here, Quitters Incorporated. Trucks, which was later to become Maximum Overdrive, it's in there. Children of the Corn's in there. Yeah. What else? The Boogeyman, I guess that was last year. The Boogeyman came out last year. That's based off of the Night Shift storyline. And Graveyard Shift, which is great with the giant rats. That's in here. So if you don't have that, or if you do Kindle or something like that, I definitely give this a read. It's really fun. And every story is only 20 pages, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And they're good stories. Like it's classic Stephen King, very descriptive. A lot of that inner monologue that carries the storyline. That's the one thing about when we watch this film, we don't really get that inner monologue. So I feel like one of the movies, when we get to it, I really do feel like it isn't as good because majority of that film is inner monologue. Mm-hmm. So we don't get that. I mean, as far as, the Cat's Eye movie goes, it is pretty cool because this was our second introduction to a Stephen King book with Drew Barrymore, because the previous year she did Firestarter, which is a very good book. The movie is the book, 100% is the book. It, for some reason, just didn't translate that well. I don't know why, but, I really do like the book, and I do like the movie. And Drew Barrymore did do a good job. Everyone in that movie actually did a really good job. For some reason, it was successful, but it just isn't well known as talked about as this one. I mean, the Cat's Eye did well, $7 million budget and made $13 million. So it was a success. I mean, it's not like made $100 million and stuff like that, some of the movies, but as far as horror goes, I mean, it made all its money back and made a profit. So that's always a win-win. I don't know. I think it's just a fun film, and if you haven't seen it, I definitely suggest you watching it. There's some more cool details, and like I said, we'll get into that when we go into the individual stories. But up front, that was all the cool stuff I wanted to talk about. If you want, you can go ahead and read the back of the box.
All right, I practice this one just in case. Cats do indeed have 9 lives. How else could a tabby survive the pranks and perils of Stephen King's Cat's Eye? A wandering supernatural feline's adventure provides the linking story for this dead-on trilogy, scripted by King and directed by Lewis Teague. First up, the staff at Quitters Inc. promises to help nicotine fiend Dick Morrison kick the habit. If not, someone in Morrison's household might get smoked, because QI is run by a very persuasive mob family. Next comes a cliffhanger, or a ledge hanger. Either way, a luckless gambler is forced into a bet involving a stroll around a building on a 5-inch ledge, encircling the 30th floor. Finally, our wayfarer Kitty rescues a schoolgirl, young Drew Barrymore from a vile, doll-sized troll, Meowvelous. That's how it ends it.
I like that. I didn't know that was in there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's funny. I mean, pretty much it really lets you know what's to come.
Oh yeah, it literally pretty much just outlines everything.
Yeah, I mean, without giving too much away. Like, what was it? UHF just told the entire story of the book.
Pretty much. It was just a whole entire. It was more than just.
Well, I read it then after reading the back. But yeah, so the first storyline we get is Quitters Incorporated, which is funny. So I have never smoked before. I've never smoked cigarettes or anything like that, but it's been very popular lately. I'm telling the Zen story.
I know. I saw it in the notes. We share notes.
So, okay. So, I mean, obviously Zens are being very popular in podcasting and stuff like that. My buddy Rob, he uses Zen and stuff like that, or whatever. And I just thought, like, I was like, you know what, man? I mean, like, sometimes they're like, it just helps me calm down and gives me energy and stuff like that. I'm like, well, my brain's scattered. I like to calm down. I want energy.
Mind you, we're at my, like, work holiday party, and you're like, yeah, like, I could use, like, a little, like, chill down or whatever. Like, no big deal.
I thought it would help
Take the edge off.
I thought it would help me socialize. It did not.
With what? Our table of 8 people that we were just sitting with anyway, where we knew half of them?
But it's still, I don't know. It's a work party. It's not my work. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. But anyway, my buddy Rob was there. So I was like, okay, fine. Like, let me try one. So I tried it, and it like.
Mind you, rewind. He's never smoked nicotine before.
So here's the thing. I thought it was all about tobacco. I thought that's when you smoke cigarettes, you get sick because of the tobacco. Right? You
don't get sick.
Well, when you first smoke a cigarette.
You get sick.
9 times out of 10, when you first have that first cigarette, you get sick.
Can't relate.
But anyway, okay, whatever. So I tried this Zen.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, whatever. So I tried this Zen pack, and I'm like, okay, cool. It's gonna be like, like I don't know, like better than caffeine.
I will say, I have heard when people use chewing tobacco, which like kind of like a Zen is like a pre-packed like lip or whatever chew.
But there's no fiberglass.
But usually people get like sick their first like pack of chew or whatever, from what I've heard.
Yeah, I mean, well, basically, I've smoked a cigar before, but that, you don't inhale.
Didn't work out for you either.
Yeah, I got really sick.
Yeah.
I should have known better, regardless. Anyway, so I'm at this holiday party.
It is.
Yeah, and I put the Zen in. First off, it gives me like the worst freaking heartburn of my life. But it just burns going down.
Okay, but Logan like breathes and gets indigestion and heartburn. The air that we breathe and live in messes with Logan.
I'm a 65-year-old man that works an extremely stressful job, but I'm not 65, and I don't work an extremely stressful job.
None of those things are true.
But my body thinks it is. So I end up getting sick as a freaking dog. I feel like I'm walking around and my head's attached to a string and it's just a little freaking balloon bobbing up and down. And Becca looks at me after it'd been like 20 minutes since she like paid attention to me. It's true.
Timing. His meter was running short.
Well, Rob told me when it was going to kick in, so I was like looking at my lock and whatever. He's like, "You start feeling it right now." And I swear, like she looks at me, she's like, "What's going on?" I was like, "I took his impact." She's like, "Well, you're white as a ghost.
Yeah,
you don't look good at all."
Sweating bullets. We were in AC in wintertime.
Oh my God!
But like it wasn't hot in there.
I felt so freaking sick. So freaking
I know
sick.
You did.
So whatever people
you did a good job though. You held out fine.
Yeah.
Well, also because then you kept it in your mouth for so long, I'm like, you should probably just take that out.
Well, Rob said to keep it in like for 45 minutes or something.
But let me tell you something. Anytime you want to test the waters, anything, if it doesn't feel good, stop.
You keep on going till the feeling good. Till the feeling bad starts to feel good.
No, you pick and choose wisely when to push that boundary. I've learned anything.
Anyway, well, I will. Whatever people tell you on the internet is lies coming from me, your buddy here at Video Villa. If you hear that shit, don't believe them. Just say no. Just say no.
Yeah. All right, Dare. I ain't gonna go that far.
Scruff McGuff.
Yeah.
Chicago, Illinois, 61652, I think it is.
I have no idea.
You don't know what I'm talking about? Scruff McGuff?
No, I do, but I don't know the zip code.
Anyway, all right. Let's get into the movie. So if you want to take us out.
So the movie kicks off outside of it's pretty much outside of Quitters Incorporated.
Yeah.
He's pulling up essentially what's the mob associate. I'm trying to like vaguely talk about people because I don't think we got it. We got his name like once, maybe.
Yeah. Well, Dick is getting dropped off by his friend McCain because he told him.
Well, I know. I meant before that. Someone from Quitters Incorporated is walking around and they see a stray cat.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, the movie does open up with a bunch of like Stephen King Easter eggs.
Yes.
We see General Watt running around.
You see Cujo who's getting chased by General. Then you see the car.
Christine, yeah.
Yeah, from Christine because the cat is running in traffic and stuff. So the car stops. So you get that. You get Cujo. Finally, the cat makes it. I don't think there's any other Easter eggs. I think it's
some of the most of the other Easter eggs come later, but
the two big ones. And then the cat is in front of a TV store window and is looking at the TVs, which is where you also get a TV that's essentially playing Drew Barrymore asking for help.
This is where he's looking at the doll. That's in the ledge.
The doll.
The TV's in the ledge.
Okay, whatever. So you get the doll who suddenly like morphs into Drew Barrymore and is telling the cat that she needs help. So the cat is heavily watching the dolls in the mirror, but unfortunately someone who you will learn is from Quitters Incorporated pulls up and steals the cat.
Yeah, apparently the movie had a prologue, but it was X'd out to explain what was going on and why.
You could pick up pretty easily.
That's what they said. That's what they said. They're like, so we're not going to treat the audience like they're stupid, so we're just going to cut this out. This isn't needed because like you said, you can tell what's going on.
Yeah, if you just follow along.
Yeah.
So he traps the cat and carries it into a building, which you'll later find out is Quitters Incorporated. You also can see the emblem on the car if you pay attention. And as that man goes inside, Dick Morrison and his friend pull up because Dick Morrison is getting dropped off to Quitters Incorporated to stop smoking cigarettes, essentially.
Yeah, his buddy McCain told him like they're the best in town. They'll get you to quit. And the book. They talk about it where they always say it will change your life. It'll change your life. It'll change. That's a big thing in the book. So basically he goes inside and, he brings his pack and cigarettes inside and he's like being a little jittery and stuff like that. And he sees this guy kind of like panicking. And he's not really understanding what's going on with this guy or whatever. He's trying to feel
not like that. He's there to quit smoking cigarettes and is looking for a lighter to light up a cigarette.
Yeah, he's looking for an ashtray to put the ash.
Oh yeah,
but there's no ashtrays. Mind you, because this is the time where you could smoke indoors in certain places. But yeah, so he's looking for that, and this guy's just freaking out in front of him, which is a big red flag. He's like crying and stuff like that, and then you see his wife come out. And her hair's all distraught. She looks rough, and she is just reaming him out. Reaming out by like beating on him and stuff like that. And he's saying he's sorry.
Yeah. So obviously at that point in time, Dick gets up and tries to let the
receptionist.
I almost said lobbyist. The receptionist know that he's not interested anymore. He's going to head out. And as he's starting to depart, the head of Quitters Incorporated stops him and brings him back into his office.
Mr. Donati.
Yeah,
I think it is.
And brings him back into his office to essentially just chat about quitting. But he also holds him captive in his office and locks him inside.
Well, yeah, and the book is soon. So apparently, in the book, soon as he shakes his hand, the deal has been done. Once you acknowledge him and shake his hand, that's when, it's already started. It started once you shook my hand.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's got him locked in the office that he's not really too sure of, but he starts to explain to him why they are the most effective rate of quitting smoking. No one can beat them. They give a brief discussion of the background of why they were started. He asks Dick, Mr. Morrison, if he's got a pack of cigarettes. He hands him the pack of cigarettes and he lays them on the table and just smashes them like a child, basically, and just explains to him how disgusting they are and how awful they are, and the fact that, that they are basically they are going to get him to quit smoking, whether he likes it or not.
Yeah.
And he basically starts to get somewhat worried on how Mr. Donati's acting because he knows a lot about Dick before without being told these things.
Yeah, like that he has a daughter and he has a
wife.
wife.
Yeah.
and a beautiful home.
Ask about what school does she go to. He's like, well, that's none of your business.
Yeah.
That's a big, okay, that was one thing I want to say about the book, is that was a big thing in the book, because apparently I don't know if it's coming through, but it's a son in the book, it's a daughter in the movie, because they needed the attachment to Drew Barrymore. So they changed that. But I don't know if it's made relevant in the movie, if they try to. I didn't really notice it, and I don't know if you noticed it, but in the book, his son is mentally challenged. That's why he's at that school. That's why he doesn't want to tell him he's at that school, because it's a school for the mentally challenged. Yeah. Like it's a boarding school.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
And that's one of that explains why he's so hesitant to let them know, and that explains why the child's not staying at home with them. I don't know if it was, or we were made to believe that in the film or not.
No, not at all, because Drew Barrymore lives with them. Like, I mean.
No, she doesn't. She lives at the boarding school.
Oh, I mean, it just seemed like a Christian school or whatever.
Yeah, it looked like a Catholic school. Yeah.
But yeah, so he also mentions that, because he's like, well, what if I have a slip up? What if, accidents happen, right? There's room for error here. And I thought that was the second guy's name.
No, Junk is the second guy.
No. In the second story.
No, the second story is Mr. Kressner.
Okay. Nonetheless, well, he lets him know that if you do slip up, we'll know because we're watching, and we'll bring your wife in. And he then reveals the cat inside this electric cage and shows to him what they'll do to his wife, which is they zap the cat in his feet on the bottom great part.
I love cats.
That part makes me so mad.
I love cats so much, and that's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously they didn't happen in the movie, but still, like.
Yeah. So that freaks him out. He tries to tell him he's killing the cat, tells him to stop, and then he also makes the threat that, and then if he slips up again, we'll do this to your daughter. If you slip up again, we'll, violate your wife. I'm not going to say what he said.
So in the book, it's a little different. He says, we'll do this to your wife. If you do it again, we'll go and beat the shit out of your wife. And then if you do it again, we'll go visit your mentally challenged son and beat the shit out of him. And the thing is it's really hard. I mean, Stephen King, so sometimes it gets rough. It's hard to listen to that, because it's the fact that he explains, he goes, think about that, your son being mentally challenged, not knowing why this is happening to him, but all he knows is because his daddy did something wrong.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It's awful.
But yeah, so then he also says, and then if you completely fail our program, and then he shows him a gun, essentially meaning we'll kill you anyway. So Dick takes off, and he's trying to be very, very serious about not smoking anymore. He tries to sneak a smoke in the middle of the night, and it's storming and everything, and he finds a cigarette in his office, but then he's super paranoid, and he thinks someone's in his closet, and he opens up his closet, and there are boots in there, which someone would think is not a big deal, but they are wet.
Yeah, and it's raining.
No one's been in the house, and it's raining. So he ends up breaking the cigarette and kind of talking to himself / talking to whoever might be in the closet, letting him know, you can tell Mr. Whatever that I didn't light it. I'm getting rid of it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, because right before this, we get the little Easter egg for the Dead Zone. He's watching the Dead Zone on TV, which is kind of cool. It's kind of like in Halloween 3, they're watching Halloween on TV.
Yeah. And then so he goes to sleep and wakes up the next day and takes his daughter a gift, a doll that she's really been wanting, and pays her a visit.
Yeah, and he does this because he goes back in his office and he sees muddy footprints on the ground, and those shoes are gone. So he's having this remorse and be like, oh my God. He's like, I can't have this happen to my baby girl.
Yeah, even if I didn't smoke the cigarette, what if they think I did? What if his people lie to him or whatever? Yeah. However, when he's paying his daughter a visit, the head of Quitters Incorporated shows up.
Mr. Dinanti shows up, and he explained, Tom's talking to me, and he's like, listen here, one of your goons was in my house last night. He's like, oh yeah, we have a close watch on you, and we will do this for X amount of time. There's a breakdown on the book, but they don't really go into it in the movie, but we're under constant surveillance up to over a year, and then it's periodic surveillance, but you never know when we are doing what, constant or periodic, so you're best off to never never try it. And he sat there, he goes, but I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything at all. What's called, I didn't smoke at all. He was like, Mr. Morrison, if you did smoke, we'd be having a different conversation right now.
Yeah.
Basically lets you know, like, we were there and we know you didn't smoke, but if you did, we would be having a conversation at the office.
Yeah. So, then the, movie carries on and he's at a party, a holiday party, which it looks like, and because you and the days in packet.
I don't know what kind of party it is, but yeah, it's definitely like, this is it's almost like he's hallucinating. It's definitely hallucinating.
Pretty much he's hallucinating. He thinks everybody's smoking cigarettes out their ears, out their mouth, out their nose. People are blowing like heavy smoke.
I made a note in the note. Our note says, reminds me of the common vape shop here.
Yeah.
Basically, just the
vape shop anywhere.
Oh my God. Like the amount of smoke that's in there, and the people, that one, when he got one leans back and just blows a conscious amount of smoke. I'm like, that's like going to Planet of the Vapes down the street. Jesus Christ.
So he starts to panic and freak out and everything, and ends up, I don't know if he rushes out the party.
Well, so he ends up talking to this guy that's just annoying the shit out of him. But then you see him kind of like come to, and he's like tired to talk to him, and he just tells him to blow it out his asshole or something like that. And he walks off, and he's like, what's wrong with him? Why is he so paranoid or whatever? Or like, why is he so uptight or whatever? And he basically blows off the party. Because earlier we also got a little, he's obviously on edge because early he had a conversation with his wife and he brought up the fact that he's quitting smoking. She goes, what, since like 5 minutes ago? He's like, no, since like noon. And she's like, oh shit, you love smoking.
And then she was like, well, even if you do or you don't, we'll still be proud of you or whatever. We still love you. So then unfortunately the next day, Dick is in traffic for a drawbridge, which if you live near a drawbridge like we do, you know how much that freaking sucks. Anyway, so he's sitting in traffic waiting for the drawbridge to go up, and he shuffles around his glove box and ends up finding a pack of cigarettes, which he thinks about smoking. You kind of see his internal battle, and he's looking around, and you kind of see him realize, like, well, there's no way they could just happen to be on this bridge. Yeah. There's no way. Like, the people in the car next to me are making out. The people in front of me are kids fighting in the back seat. It's a big trucker behind me. There's no way. So he lights a cigarette, and unfortunately, because he's paying attention to that, hiding down in the seat, he doesn't realize that traffic is now moving. And, so the truck honks the horn, startles him, and he looks up, and the gentleman in the car next to him that was previously making out is now staring at him.
It's Junk, if I remember correctly. The big muscle guy from
and he chuckles and speeds off, which Dick rushes home because he knows what this means.
Yeah.
Or he can at least put two and two together, and he realizes what this means. So unfortunately, he sees his storm doors cut open. The pan is still hot and cooking something on the stove, and he's rushing around his house calling for his wife to then get a phone call from Dick asking him to come into the office.
Yeah, basically they have taken Sydney, and he has to go pick her up at 5:00 at the Quitters Incorporated. And he's what's called, basically he's freaking out. He goes down there, and he's being very distraught. He goes to talk to Mr. Donate, and he's like, listen here. He's sitting there. In the book, it was basically she's being shocked for how long he smoked that first cigarette. It's not really brought to our attention in this one of how long he is. He does say, he goes, we won't hurt her this time. But I guess implying that we're not going to beat the shit out of her. We're just going to shock her a little bit. And, they play the music, which is, no more teardrops. And then all of a sudden, bam, he starts shocking the shit out of her.
Yeah.
Which is very, if you think about it, it's very unsettling. It's fucking
especially because if
crazy.
you notice where she's at, she can't see that there's people on the other side. It's a double mirror or whatever it's called.
And so he freaks out. He's trying to break her out, whatever. And then him and Junk get in a fight. Junk drops his gun because he's got a gun pointed at him. And the door,
the cat gets loose.
The cat gets loose. And Junk's like, oh, damn it, the kitty got out. Here, kitty. And Mr. Donate's fighting with Dick, and he's like, get the gun, you idiot. And he's like, oh, okay. He's like finger. He said something like, I can't remember if it was like Butterfingers or Fiddle Faddle or something.
None of those. But yes, he said something, and he ends up getting the gun back, and they hold Dick down while they, shock his wife, and he has to sit there and watch. And then they send them both off to the waiting room while they watch, and they make bets on whether she's going to hug him or she's going to freak out on him. And she ends up hugging him, and essentially they're going to, take this on together. They'll figure it out together.
Yeah, and then basically in the book, it's basically said that, like, she breaks down and starts crying, like, oh, you did this for us. You did this for us. And I understand, and, I can't believe you would do this, but, I'm not mad. I understand your sacrifice, and thank you. So they basically cut to 6 months in the future.
Yeah.
And Dick is basically being weighed at this point, and now they're starting to do weighments on seeing how much weight he's gaining, because that's one of the biggest side effects of quitting smoking is gaining weight. So they're taking his weight or whatever, and basically, Mr. Donati, he's like, hey, I'm going to put your max weight at X, Y, and Z. What's called I'm going to give you these diet pills. They're highly illegal, so use them sparingly. And I'm basically it's probably just speed in a bottle because it was the 80s. But and he says that he makes a joke. He goes, if I go beyond that, what are you going to do? He's like, what's he say? He says something. He's like, if I go beyond this, what are you going to do?
He's like, well, I'll just show up and cut your wife's finger off.
He's like, are you going to shock me or something like that? He's like, no. I'll just show up to your house and cut your wife's pinky finger off. And they laugh and laugh it off.
He's like, you're crazy. And he kind of just heads off. And that evening they're having dinner with his good buddy McCann and his wife, McCann's, who said that, the program is really, really great and it works. And they goes to cheers to Quitters Incorporated, which is when Dick realizes McCann's wife is missing half of her pinky finger. Implying that he obviously did not lose the weight he was supposed to lose and paid a sacrifice.
Yeah, they do the whole like two Quitters Incorporated. It's just funny. You just wait and you see her hesitant to put her hand up. Yeah. And then you see her pinky missing. It's like, God damn. That sucks because it's his wife who, like McCain, he's fine. You're like, okay, well, I didn't lose a pinky. That's like, you losing a pinky and be like, well, my pinky's just fine.
No. If I lose my pinky from someone else because of you, I'll cut your pinky off. This is what he married. Now we go down together. Why would you want me to lose a pinky and you just get the...
I don't want you to lose a pinky.
But you're like, it's fine. It's your pinky.
No, I'm saying it's funny the fact that, like, in the end of the day, I didn't get, that's like when your dad makes that joke, you're like...
I didn't feel a thing.
Yeah, I didn't feel a thing.
When you get hurt, love that.
It's classic.
Love good old sympathy. The lack thereof.
But yeah, so the one funny thing in this film, like this scene, they play "Every Breath You Take," which was really hot by the Police at the time, and they really wanted it for this segment because of the lyrics and smoke and breaths and stuff like that. But it was hella expensive, and they didn't want to pay that. So what they did is they got the rights to a cover and another band play it. So that's why it plays in this. And I just thought that was funny because it's not nearly as good. But it's very funny how they were so adamant about having that song in this film. But Quitters Incorporated, I think, is probably one. I think it's one of the. It's definitely a strong suit. I think it's a very good story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that one.
Yeah. And so then, mind you, the cat got loose, and they did not catch it, so it escaped Quitters Incorporated and now is seen running around again. However,
it gets on the Staten Island ferry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, however, now you see it outside of a casino.
Yeah, Atlantic City.
Yeah, and it starts its new journey. As you kind of pan into the casino, you see Mr. Kressner and a few of his associates or friends, and they're having a good night, they're drinking, but they're also having a kind of discreet conversation about a target that they're keeping track of.
Yeah, they basically are talking about how they need to settle some business, basically.
Yeah.
And we get this, we got to get an introduction to the kind of person that Mr. Kressner is, because they both witnessed the cat, and one person is one of the guy's girl or whatever is, I've said something awful about how cats just need to be drowned or something like that.
Yeah, her daddy said that after they stopped playing with yarn, they just need to be drowned. Yeah, whatever, killed essentially.
Yeah, awful things to say about cats that are awesome creatures. But so they see it trying to cross the street, and they start to make a little wager. Like I'll bet you, $1,000 he makes it across the street or whatever. Which is just a pretty cool shot because so apparently when they got this, they used a lot of perspective shots of basically they shot it to make it look like the cars were closer to the cat, and they actually shot the cat running across the street. And what they did is when it came to the crash scenes, they just composited it in. And if you look just right on there's two scenes, but the second scene where the cat's darting and you see the two cars hit each other, and they see the composites being covered up by the smoke.
Yeah.
But you can see how the cars are moving on a different playing field than the cat is running. But I still think it looks very good. But yeah, Mr. Kressner's betting on the cat can make it across the street, and the cat does get across the street, and he wins his $1,000. And this is what leads us into our second storyline, the ledge.
Yeah, where now Mr. Kressner, he won his money, and he also picks up the cat and takes it with him. However, he has a target that he has his eyes on, which is his girlfriend, because she is having an affair with someone, and with this man named Johnny. So his girlfriend Marcia is having an affair with Johnny, and Johnny and Marcia know that Mr. Kressner is after them. So Johnny sends Marcia off on a bus, and he will meet her there later. However, she warns him that, you're really underestimating them. They can do really, really bad things, and she's really, really worried. And Johnny tells her it's okay and sends her off on the bus. Yeah,
Johnny was her tennis instructor because he is an ex-athlete with a drug problem that he actually went to jail. It goes in a little bit more detailed in the book because he actually spends time in jail, and that's the reason why he's trying to frame him with the heroin, because he already has a drug charge and he knows if he gets caught, he'll go back for 40 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's basically what he does. He ends up capturing and abducting Johnny from the bus stop. His goons take him all the way back to his apartment building, and Mr. Kressner's setting and lets him know, listen here, I know what you've been doing. I'm all about it. I find out all the information. I'm going to play a little game with you.
Yeah, I'm a betting man.
I'm a betting man, and I'm going to make a wager with you. All right. Right now, you have about X pounds of heroin in your trunk, and I've got Anthony or Andy or whatever the guy's name is. I got Andy over here, and he's going to call the police at X, Y, and Z to let them know where your car's parked and where the drugs are. Unless, you do this wager for me. If you can make it around the entire apartment building in one lap back to my apartment on the ledge, Andy will not call the police.
And you can keep my girlfriend.
And you can keep my girlfriend, and I'll give you spending money.
Yeah.
I'll give you I think it's $20,000. Well, at least in the book, it was $20,000. Yeah. And he explains to me, he's like, listen here, you're going to go away for 40 years. And when you get out, she's not even going to remember who you are. And you've done all this for nothing. And it's kind of like, it's almost kind of like a lose-lose situation.
Yeah.
You got to pick one of the worst two, because one is very unlikely to win. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he ends up just like, okay. I'll do it. So we get this long scene.
Oh, and by the way, the cat is now named Sebastian.
Oh, yeah. I forgot what the cat's name was. The other one. Yeah.
I believe it's Sebastian.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right. So Mr. Kressner has the cat. So that's why it's an evolving storyline.
Yeah.
And this is where we get the TV clip of the commercial with Drew Barrymore with the curly cues.
Yeah.
With a cat putting it in a high chair, and then it talks to the general.
Yeah.
So our Johnny makes his way out to the ledge, and he gets over the ledge. And it's funny because it goes into like this is the one I feel like has some fault to it. It's fault. It's not the word I'm looking for. It's not as good as the story, because once again, when you talk about writing a story versus visually seeing it, if you're not going to have that kind of like film noir, a detective inner monologue, you do lose a lot of the essence of this story because a lot of this story is just Johnny walking around the ledge and we just see it.
Well, I mean, you also have Mr. Kressner like surprising him, spraying him with the hose,
Yeah.
the sign falling down. So, I mean, you get stuff.
You do.
And it goes pretty quickly.
Yeah, this story is probably I feel like the quickest story.
Yeah.
But anywho, yes, he gets up to the ledge, and he is trying to make it around. He comes in a numerous of obstacles. Mind you, the ledge is only 5 inches from the wall.
Yeah.
And this whole time, Mr. Kressner is pretty much being, agitating him, either trying to scare him with a horn or
he takes a pit stop real quick in a little divot in the ledge, and he soaks him down with a hose, essentially. And then he finally like gets away from where Mr. Kressner can reach him, and he's walking across the sign of the apartment building, and that like comes detached, and he's hanging from it.
Yeah, and then you also got an asshole pigeon that just won't leave him alone.
Yeah.
That was kind of funny.
But he makes it back. And unfortunately, Mr. Kressner throws a bag at him that has Marcia's head in it.
He says, he gets pissed off at first because as soon as he comes back, he's got a gun in his face.
Yeah.
And the guy's being like, is roughing him up. And he's like, what's going on? I thought you said you didn't Welsh. And he goes, I don't Welsh. I'm just a sore loser.
Yeah.
He's like, but you know what? I made my words. You have your life, you have the money, and you have my wife. And he throws the bag at him, and comes rolling out is Marcia's head.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. That's not in the book. I like the way the movie does it better.
Yeah.
He just tells him he's like, oh, I killed my wife.
Yeah. So then they start to get into an altercation where at that point, Johnny shoots Mr. Kressner's assistant in the doorway, which then the cat gets spooked and the cat runs away again because essentially we're following the cat here.
Well, yeah, the cat helped him because the cat kind of like tripped him at his feet to give him the better hand.
And then he ends up forcing Mr. Kressner out on the ledge to walk the ledge himself, or else he's just going to shoot Mr. Kressner. So, unfortunately, Mr. Kressner does not make it very far, and he also falls.
Yeah, and it's funny, when he falls on the horn that he threw earlier.
Yeah, so you don't actually see him fall, but he had dropped a horn earlier.
You see him fall, you just don't see him hit.
Land. You don't see him land. However, a bullhorn, whatever kind of horn, was dropped earlier when he was messing with Johnny. So as soon as he lands, you hear it squeak.
Yeah. So the way the book does is it's pretty cool because I like the way the book basically ends with, is he going to make it or is he not going to make it? So it's basically just Johnny talking to himself. He's like, I'm going to give him some more time. Maybe I should go to the other apartment, check on if he's come around. He's like, he's sitting there. He's like, I wonder if he'll make it. It's been 15 minutes here. I don't know. Let's, I haven't heard him scream yet. He's like, I don't know. He might make it. He might be lucky enough to make it. He's like, well, doesn't matter anyway. He's like, I've been known not to, basically, finish out my bets or whatever. He's like, oh no, he goes, I'm not known for being an honest man. Because he told him if you make it back around, he save his life. And I liked how that feels like, oh, if he does come around, you're just gonna shoot him.
Yeah, he's just gonna die anyway.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty slick.
All right, so now that the ledge is in, then that carries us into who's soon to be General's last of the trilogy. So his last journey on this cat adventure.
Yeah, now this is where the movie shines 100%. I mean, this is like I said, this was an original storyline that Stephen King wrote for this film. And it's awesome from the special effects from Carlo Ribaldi, who was, if you watched E.T., we talked about him. Great special effects for the troll. We have famous voice actor Frank Welker being the troll. I mean, Scooby-Doo. He voiced Scooby-Doo, voiced Megatron, voiced Garfield. He voiced Bullseye from Toy Story, and two of the most famous characters he did, Slimer and Ray from the real Ghostbusters. So you got classically trained voice actor to be the voice of the troll. And if you watch it, he sounds nothing. The troll sounds like Slimer, literally 100%. And this is when we get into the really cool set designs we were talking about earlier, where the way to get the shots from this was so epic. What they did is they built basically a bedroom 30 times the size of a normal bedroom. So they didn't have to worry about working with miniatures, and they get full motion. And then they end up getting a little person to be the troll around 4 foot tall. So everything looks ginormous. And this is what led them to being entered in the Guinness Book of World Records for the largest bed ever created and the largest pillows ever created. And I couldn't find out. I maybe should have dived a little bit deeper. I do know the ending was chopped. It was changed from Stephen King's original ending. Lewis Teague didn't really care for it, so he rewrote it and to something that best fit his vision. This is one of his best films, I will say. Like, we talked about Cujo. He in one interview he said Cujo has now become his favorite film he's ever done. He don't feel like he's ever done a better film than Cujo. But I mean, I hands down, like, I mean, Jewel of the Nile is a great film. It's the remake to Romancing the Stone. Great movie. And he did Alligator, which is another good monster animal movie, because he felt like he just kept on getting these animal movies. And when they brought him Cat's Eye, he was like, not another animal movie. But then he read the script. He's like, oh, it's not a animal movie. If you don't want to say it, it's not about a creature animal trying to kill people. Because he was kind of done with it. But I mean, I feel like this is really where his directing shines. It's not stated as his favorite. His favorite was stated as being Quitters Incorporated because that was his favorite story. But I definitely think like this is probably like one of the better stories.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, just the troll itself is awesome. The little teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's because it's ugly, but it's also kind of cute at the same time.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like, it's so ugly, it's cute.
Yeah. And it just looks so good. It looks, the fact that it's not a miniature and everything's blown up, it looks so good. Yes, some of the stuff doesn't age as well as far as the compositing goes, but it doesn't matter. It still looks, that scene where the troll puts his hand on Drew Barrymore's face, that looks real. I mean, I don't know how they did that, because it really looks like he touches her nose. That scene to this, I mean, literally, like, I don't know how they did it, because the compositing, yes, I know it's composited, but the fact that he actually touches the nose, and you feel like it has a give and squishes. I don't know. I thought it was great. But enough with that fun fact. So we can start talking about it.
Yeah. So pretty much this part of the trilogy opens with the troll's point of view, which you can kind of tell because it's making a bunch of like disgruntled noises.
Slimer noises, basically.
Yeah. And then so the troll's watching, and Amanda is outside cleaning her dad's car with her, and they're playing outside, being silly or whatever. And you kind of see the troll running through the yard and stuff. And essentially, General is also there and finds his way to Amanda's house. And Amanda sees the cat and kind of convinces her parents to at least bring it inside for now.
Yeah, I think, and the cat makes its way there from it rides on a train this time. Yeah, so it's funny. It went from the ferry to get to Atlantic City, then it gets on the train.
Yeah, so however, he can come in the house for a little bit, but it becomes bedtime, and Amanda's mom enforces that the cat stays outside.
Yeah, she's like, you don't know what kind of diseases that cats might have or whatever. You don't know if it's a nice cat. What about Polly?
Which is her bird.
Which is funny because she's like, Jenner will never hurt Polly. He's like, you just met this cat. You don't know what the cat's capable of doing.
Well, as a kid, you're like that.
No, I agree. It's cute, yeah.
Yeah, so while they're at the breakfast table talking about how General stayed in the house, her dad tells her a wise tale, essentially that her grandma once said that cats can't sleep with you at night because they are there to steal your breath from you.
Yeah, which I've heard that before, growing up in the South.
I never heard that, but I can hear that you need to be careful with your cats near your baby because they can accidentally suffocate
That's what they said. Yeah, that's what I heard.
Yeah, not steal your breath, just accidentally suffocate it.
Well, that's what I heard. Like, they steal your breath, but by accidentally suffocating you.
Yeah, I've never heard that. And so, Amanda just leaves it be or whatever, but she kind of on and off still like begs for the cat to at least stay, if not like the night with her, but can they at least keep the cat? So we fast forward to the next night, and unfortunately, Amanda does not win. The cat does not get to stay the night, but her dad lets her know, like, well, let me work on it.
Yeah, let me talk to your mom. Let me talk to your mama. I'll try to mutter out the details, and we'll see if we can get General to be able to come in the house.
So he puts Amanda to bed, and he climbs to bed. This is where you get Pet Sematary. So Amanda's mom is reading the book Pet Sematary as her husband climbs into bed. Then they go to sleep that night and everything. However, the troll pays her a visit. But before he pays her a visit, he kills Polly, which is the bird.
Yeah, he kills Polly, and then after he kills Polly, then he goes to check out Amanda. And this is the scene where I tell you, like, we get the exact same scene twice, but this is the first time you see where he gets on her chest and touches her nose, and basically, you get to see him try to steal her breath.
Yeah, but the cat senses that something's going on and jumps through Amanda's window, and the cat and the troll, General and the troll, get into kind of like a fight or whatever, and the troll stabs the cat with what you find later is a really teeny tiny knife.
Yeah.
And
I think these scenes are great. The cat fight scenes are awesome. Literally, like, the cats did a good job in this film. And it's just, it looks, I don't know, it looks really well done. And I don't know, it doesn't look cheap. It doesn't look funky. Doesn't look hokey. I think the execution's amazing here.
Yeah. So all that commotion wakes Amanda and her parents up, and they come running in. And essentially what it looks like is that the cat got in the middle of the night and the cat killed Polly. So, as parents, they're upset. They're upset with each other, meaning the wife is upset with the husband because she told him that the cat was going to do this. Amanda's upset because Polly is gone. And so they get settled, and you jump to the morning time, and
Amanda's explaining it wasn't.
It was the troll. It was a troll. It wasn't the cat.
Obviously, who's going to believe that?
Yeah.
And then this is this leads us to a later conversation where her dad's basically telling her, like, listen, Amanda, there is no monsters. Monsters don't exist.
Well, he told her that the night before.
No, I thought it was after seeing the troll.
He told her that in bed.
Oh, okay. Well,
I'm sure it's multiple conversations, but so Amanda goes off to school, and her dad goes off to work, and Amanda's mom takes this as an opportunity to lure the kitty into a box and take it to the pound because she's had it.
She's an asshole.
The cat killed the bird, and she's upset, so she drops the cat off to the pound. And so Amanda comes back from school and is very distraught because she notices that General is gone. She doesn't really know where he's gone, but she's outside calling for General, and it's really bad weather, and she's really, really upset. And because now she's lost Polly, and she, presumably has lost General from her understanding, and that's just obviously like really shitty for a kid.
Oh no, yeah. The fact of like knowing that an animal is missing and not knowing where the animal is, I mean, it's heartbreaking. You've had that when Kitty went missing, you know what I mean? So you know exactly what that feels like.
Yeah, that's miserable.
Yeah.
Oh, my old man.
Yeah, I mean, like literally, Becca went like house to house looking for a cat, and then well, you tell the story. You found him.
Yeah. Well, no, I found him because, me and my cousin found him because someone else had thought they were his cat. They thought that it was their cat. He was their cat because apparently their cat got out, and they were very reluctant to give me my cat back. But let me tell you something. Don't touch my effing animals, especially if I don't know you, and don't you dare claim that they're yours because I will break into your house and take them. First off,
mind you, Kitty is a very unique cat, and it definitely, you would know. There is no two kitties.
He's a very, very large gray cat with a raccoon tail.
Yeah. Well, he's got a distinctive look. He definitely has like he's got like man boobs and stuff like that. So
he's a big boy, okay? He's big boned. Big chested. But anyway. Also, and then he has a gray tail with black, like very, very dark gray rings.
And he's got a V on his forehead.
Yes. Very distinct. Nonetheless, I feel really bad that they lost their cat, but my cat's not your cat. So I don't know what you want me to tell you, but you give me my cat.
What
back.
if you did take their cat? You've been having their cat these
No, I know Kitty's my kitty. Well, also because my cat actually answers to his name. I don't know if that's a cat thing or not. because Elvira really doesn't give a shit when we call her name. But I had known that he was in there because they had their windows open because it was like springtime, and I was calling his name, and he meows if I call his name. He's sleeping next to me now. He meows if I call his name, so I was calling his name over and over and over again without making like the little cat sound or whatever.
Yeah, the chirps.
So he started meowing in their bay window because it's like copy and print townhouses or whatever. So that's when I knocked on their door and asked if they had my cat.
They were not going to give it back to you.
They were just very hesitant. Like, they looked like they were, but then they also looked like they weren't. But they were, even if they thought they weren't. I'll tell you that. Anyways, but yeah, so it is gut-wrenching because it took like over a day to get to that point, and I was absolutely distraught.
Mind you,
I love my
she
animals.
had a sign on the door, "Don't let the cat out."
Yeah, that's a story.
And that's what happened.
Day, not a line. But yeah, so I completely get that. Nonetheless, she being Amanda, goes to bed that night. And you get a clip of General, and he's at the pound. He's been put up for euthanasia for the next day, and he's snoozing away at dinner time. At least he's fake snoozing.
Oh yeah, this is great. He is just the slyest devil. He's like, I'm gonna lay here like I'm sleeping, and as soon as they open that door, I'm gonna book the shit out of this. And yeah, he takes off running, ends up getting out of the pound. It's awesome. And then we cut back to basically it's this movie. It's funny because Alan Silvestri did the music for this movie, became an epic composer, and went off, the same year he did Back to the Future, which is one of his most well-known soundtracks. This movie has a very unique score. Mm-hmm. I like it though. It sounds crazy, but if you've watched the movie, kind of think about this. Go back and watch the movie, and when that when you hear that, tell me that does not sound like you're playing like a Zelda game or something like that. It sounds very fantasy-like, and I really like because it plays that the music kicks in. You see freaking General booking it back to the house because he knows what's happening. He is going there. His mission is to go there and save Amanda because that was what the prologue was.
Yeah.
And that's what his whole job is here to do. So it cuts back to the scene where Amanda's laying back in the bed, and here comes the troll again, and he's climbing up on the bed and whatever, and he's actually going to be successful. He's jammed the door.
Yeah. And he jammed the door and everything.
The windows are locked.
He climbed. I didn't think the
the windows are locked.
Anyway, so he climbed to the bed and he actually starts to steal Amanda's breath, and she can't breathe. She's coughing because he's like sucking the breath out of her. And in comes General and kicks off the fight scene.
Where does he come from? He's like, I can't come in through the front door, and Amanda has a fireplace in her bedroom. He climbs on the house and comes through the fireplace. He's like, not today, motherfucker.
Yeah.
This scene, I know it's very epic, and I really, really like it. I love this like fight with the troll and them fighting on her bed and stuff like that, and then seeing the troll trying to get away, and basically General runs him away, and he gets up off on the record player, and then General turns the record player on, and then Amanda tells him
to cheering him on.
Yeah, she's faster, like faster. He turns it up,
and her parents are banging at the door because there's a door stop in the door.
And what's it playing? And it's playing Every Breath You Take by not by the Police, but yeah, and it's playing that, and that comes back into play, and then her dad and mom are trying to open the door. Now, mind you, she really before this, she did get some of her breath taken away, so she can't really talk that well, so she can't explain what's happening. She can only scream. But yeah, so the record player's flying through, and then it's really well done to see the troll hold on to the little center, and he just throws him as he lets go right into a fan. And this isn't no modern fan you're buying for $20. This is a metal blade fan from the 80s.
Fan, like a yellow one downstairs.
Like a really nice box one.
Yeah.
And he goes in through and gets shredded to pieces. At this point, the dad finally busts open the door. And this is a scene I wanted to talk about because when we were watching it, this conversation I was having with Becca, and she explains that what's called mom's like, how'd that cat get back in here? And she's like, he's General saved me. I told you it was a troll.
Yeah, and the mom's freaking out as if like Amanda went to the freaking pound
to get
and got
the cat
out herself.
I took a cab out to the pound and then brought it back without you knowing. because obviously she can't drive. But yeah, so she's like, well, where's the troll at now, Amanda? She's like, it's over there. It went into the fan.
And all you see is these little like decapitated hands
and the little dagger
guts.
and the arm. And I was like, I told Becca, like, if I was there and I would have saw that, like, I would lose my shit, because me as the parent to sit there and tell my child all the time, because I do have to tell my child, watch our child.
There are no monsters.
Me and Becca both have to explain to him sometimes when he gets
pretend. Yeah.
When he gets scared at night, because sometimes he still thinks there might possibly be monsters. He's not 100% guaranteed there's no monsters.
Yeah.
But oh my God, if I would have saw that little arm, I would just be like, well, I'm never sleeping again, because everything that I know is a lie.
Yeah.
And I'm the adult here. Now I actually find out there's fucking monsters. And the dad even says, he goes, well, did he say he had any friends? She's like, well, I only saw the one. It's like, what do you do?
Yeah, well, did you see any more? And then finally they come to agreement of like, we're not going to tell anyone about this. And Amanda, being the sly kid she is, she's like, well, let's make a deal first.
That's a Grayson thing.
Yeah. I won't tell anyone about the troll if I get to keep General. So they're like, deal, fine. No one finds out about this, which then concludes the movie. So General has made his final stop and made it home with Drew Barrymore.
And it's cute because it cuts over to like later that night, and then Amanda's sleeping in bed with her mom and dad, and then the General comes up and like lays on her chest.
Yeah.
It makes it kind of weird. You're like, oh, is the cat going to steal her breath? But then he just licks her face.
And then goes to sleep on her chest.
That's like Elvira.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
No, Kitty just sleeps by my face, and then 3 a.m. I wake up and he's like 1 inch from my face. He's probably trying to steal my breath.
Or like Elvira be like, do you have videos of it? Of her
What?
like, do you have videos or pictures of her trying to eat my sweet treats on Saturdays?
I think so.
All right. If we have anything, I know we've taken a picture. I'll insert here, but my cat, it's like all up in my mouth in my business when I'm like on Saturday, if like I'm eating a piece of cake or like some donuts. She's just like, what you got over there?
Yeah.
What is that? What is that? Let me get some of that. And she does that bear that she gets on her hind legs like a bear. Like, what is that? That looks good. Let me have some. I'll insert whatever I have if we have anything.
No, but without fail, it'll be like witching hour, and Kitty's like 1 inch from my mouth, and I'm like, you just wake up and you have these like, deep green eyes staring at you.
You're sleeping.
Yeah, he's like, you gonna put some food in my bowl at 3 a.m. And then also he like sleeps next to me as if like I'm sleeping in the middle of the bed, so it's like Logan, me, and then Kitty's spot, and he like doesn't move when you try to get out of bed.
Oh, and as soon as you get out of bed, he's like, thanks
for this warm toasty spot.
Yeah, I'll get out of bed to use the bathroom, and then he's already claimed my spot.
Well, he likes sleeping up near me, like up near my upper half.
I don't think it's that. I think he's just like the rim.
No, he used to sleep like behind my knees, like if you lay in the fetal position.
He used to sleep on my chest for a hot minute, but he is heavy.
Yeah, he's a big boy.
It's like sleeping with a 20-pound weight on your chest. It's very hard.
All right, well, maybe my cat is the troll, and he is trying to steal our breath. But that's fine. I'll make that sacrifice. But yeah, so my feedback on Cat's Eye, I do feel like it is one of Stephen King's like forgotten films or forgotten storylines, because you hear so much about so many other ones, and I feel like people don't give this the credit it deserves.
No, I agree.
It held up well, but I think it's definitely forgotten, or the lesser talked about one.
Well, it's like you said earlier. It was the first PG-13 one. Which is most of his films at that point were rated R.
Yeah.
And to the longest time, most of his films were rated R because, and they came back to being rated R because I know a lot of people were freaking out, making sure when the remake of It was not PG-13, because mind you, this is still when he's in his prime. His IPs that are coming out are good. This is before we got Tommyknockers and the TV show of The Stand or the Lingoneers and stuff like that. Like this is before we kind of got, lack of better form, but trashy movies that are just shitty. I don't know. Like this is when his stuff was really great. It started kind of in the public's eye, kind of started going a little haywire once we got Maximum Overdrive. It's still a fun movie, but it is just fucking batshit crazy. We had Cujo, we had Carrie. I mean, really, really great films. We had The Shining. Yes, it wasn't like the movie, but still a well-perceived movie in the eyes of people. So I definitely think it is, it is better than, I would say Cat's Eye is better than Christine, hands down. I love John Carpenter to death. Love him, love him, love him to death. But I definitely think Cat's Eye is much better film than Christine. And as far as when it comes to the anthologies go, I mean, Talks Dark Side, Creep Show.
Answered the question.
Oh, what was the question?
Our intro question.
I said yes.
Is it a forgotten film? I don't know. You just went on a tangent about all this other stuff.
Yeah. Yes, it is. The whole point is, yes, I don't feel like people talk about it enough. And I feel like sometimes people forget that it exists because, like I said, you also have to put it in the anthologies series. And Talks, Creep Show, and Twilight Zone, I definitely feel get more talked about than Cat's Eye. And, those are all, I believe it is... No, Twilight Zone's PG, but Creep Show and Talks of the Dark Side are definitely rated R. Stephen King did Creep Show, and also worked on what's called Tales from the Dark Side too. So it's not as talked about as much as those films, but I do feel like it is one of the first three if you think about major hits.
Yeah.
Because it was Creep Show, Twilight Zone, and Cat's Eye. So then we got Creep Show 2, which is not Creep Show in itself is still a great film. I really like that movie. But Cat's Eye, I think Cat's Eye is just as good, if not better, than Creep Show 2, in my personal opinion.
Yeah.
And then the storylines are great in the Night Shift book. I think if you got the time, I definitely think after watching the movie, go check those stories out. I think only maybe took me about an hour to read both stories.
Yeah.
So, very, very fun. Very fun. But yeah, I like the film and I'm really happy. It looks like you liked it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's definitely a good film that, I'll rewatch it anytime.
Yeah, this is definitely a rewatchable film. And I think like I said, with Grace and our son, I really think
the end one.
Yeah.
Just the end. If we can fast forward it to the third, then that's fine.
He's 6 now. And I do think this might be one of the first adult movies I do play, just the end one, because he's not going to care about the other two. But I think this will be...
So they're not really appropriate.
Well, he's just not going to care about them.
And they're not appropriate.
I mean, there's nothing, I don't want to say anything really wrong with them.
Hurting animals, and then the dead.
Yeah, I'm just saying as
the head rolling out and the shooting of people. Maybe not yet.
Yeah, I'm just saying as a kid, he's not going to care about it. But yeah, I see where you're coming from. It has a little bit more adult stuff. But like, I really do like the fantasy aspect of the general storyline. I do think it's really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, this...
it's definitely a good one. But like I said, to spin back around on our original question, is it one of Stephen King's more forgotten films? I would say yes, unfortunately, and it shouldn't be forgotten. I think people definitely should go rewatch it, and it'd be nice to see this like revived, not a remake, but see this like make a resurgence at some point in time.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's like I said, it's... Oh God, it's so fun. It is so fun. It's a happy. It is weird because it's a happy film. Because
it has a happy ending to it. It's very, like I said, very, very, very mild on the horror scale.
No, well, 100%. And like I said, when I was young in my teens, when I was getting into horror films, you got to check out Cat's Eye. I checked it out. I'm like, what is this? This ain't even scary. I was just being a freaking dweeb about it and stuff. And like now, me being an adult, being mature, like there's certain things when I watch a horror movie that technically is not like I can watch a horror movie now and enjoy a horror movie without gore.
Yeah.
I can enjoy a horror movie because of the storyline. I can enjoy a horror movie without being a slash fest. Don't get me wrong. Do I like those movies? Oh, 100%. I love slashers. I love movies with gore and stuff like that. But I also can like, like I do like, some movies that are, not so gory, like Twilight Zone. Like I said, it was PG-13. I mean, PG, sorry. It was PG. And, there's not really any gore in that at all. And some of the storylines are really, really good. So I think it's this, someone's going to get me if I say it wrong, but it's I keep on saying stay tuned. I don't know if that's the segment, but the kid controlling the TV segment and stuff like that. That segment is still super creepy without having any gore.
Mm-hmm.
And then the John Lithgow one where he's on the plane, which is the remake of the classic episode. Anyway, that's another episode. We're definitely going to cover that one soon because that one I do think you'll like that one too.
I've watched it.
Oh, you did watch it? What? I don't think you didn't
I've
watch.
watched it before.
Oh, okay. Well, you watch with me.
Okay. You've watched plenty of things without me. Anyways, but yeah, that's something you probably stay tuned for in the future. But thank you for joining us for episode 41 for Cat's Eye, directed by Lewis Teague, inspired by Stephen King. And as always, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow. You can go to videovillaentertainment.com for all of our links to our socials, as well as any like upcoming events or fun things that we've done, and easy access to our episodes on however you would like to look at them or listen to them. So thank you guys for joining us, and we will see you next time.